Yeah, Ray, I think we wanted to start off talking a little bit about Grails 2 here. The Grails 2 Mint Pass was airdropped to Proof Collective Pass holders and Moonbirds that have the Grail headwear trait on Monday. They've slowly been revealing the different pieces of art throughout the week. I know minting starts next Tuesday, August 16th. Minting ends August 23rd, the following Tuesday, and there will be a live reveal on August 25th. So I have a proof pass, and I was airdropped a Grails 2 Mint Pass. Ray, I know you purchased a Mint Pass off secondary. Curious if you want to just kind of talk a little bit about that, about kind of you jumping in and why you made that purchase, and then we could dive in a little bit about kind of strategy, at least from my experience and kind of my approach, at least during Grail Season 1, and maybe speculate on some of the pieces of art. But yeah, just pass it over to you initially, just to kind of talk about the decision behind buying a pass and hoping to be part of this drop this time around.
Yeah, sure. I know I kind of watched you struggle with the decision a bit for Grails 1, and I was kind of following along from the sidelines, and it's something that definitely it kind of interested me, like looking at the pieces, trying to figure out what I would mint if I had it. But now that they're allowing the mint passes to be purchased, I figured I've got to jump in Grails 2. So I was kind of watching it on its run up. I put an offer in. I think I got in around 4 ETH, so didn't quite get a great deal. I mean, I think we're around like 3.2 or 3. Where are we at right now? 3.5. So it's been climbing.
Yeah, it looks like 3.49.
Climbing a little bit here, but I wanted to make sure that I had a ticket to the show this time. Looking at the supply of Grails 1 and the floor, I know there was some talk in the Proof Discord as well that kind of I've heard like kind of valuing the Proof 2 pass, the Grails 2 pass around 4 ETH for kind of your average like expected value. And so I figured that was a good price. I was fine getting in there, and like I've been looking over all these pieces, and it's like I don't know if I should have done it now. I'm not going to be able to make a decision on these. I'm going to put myself in a stressful situation by jumping in. I'm sure you faced something similar with Grails 1. Like, walk me through kind of your experience with the first Grails and like how you kind of ended up choosing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Grails 1 really was such a cool experience. I've talked about a few times just kind of the agony that went into making the call. So I have, we have the Grails 1 piece is up now. For anyone who's not familiar with the process. So beforehand, all you saw was the art pieces. We didn't see a name. We didn't see an artist. We didn't really know anything about the pieces. There was a ton of kind of speculation, research, just a lot of digging and diving, trying to figure out, who the artists were behind each of these pieces. I think a lot of beautiful, really great pieces of art in here, a lot of very well-known artists and names. The two biggest ones being that protoglyph piece by Larva Labs, which was kind of the basis behind the autoglyph project, the first kind of prototype of that, along with the wall by Tyler Hobbs. I know those were some really great pieces that were highly speculated about. But it was you did see how many of each piece were kind of minted or selected at the time, but you didn't and weren't able to see who the artists were. So, I mean, I was sending links to Ray and other people, within Discord, asking friends, asking family, which one do you guys like the most? Which one, do you think I should pick? It's definitely tough when you only have, one option, or, if you could only mint one. So, that was definitely tricky trying to settle on one if you like more than one. And I think trying to settle on something that that you find appealing, that you wouldn't mind kind of holding and viewing within your wallet. I think those it's kind of probably the best way to approach it, instead of trying to speculate behind artists or trying to speculate which one might have the best return. Because if you're wrong at that point, then you're going to have something in your wallet that you're not you don't really enjoy holding or looking at. So I think some of that, it is definitely very, very tricky to settle on one that you like the most. I mean, the reveal process was just so cool between everyone in the Discord, and I think Ryan Carson at the time was part of Proof there, and I think they were, and Justin as well. They just kind of went through and they revealed them in a random order, and it was just between Twitter going crazy, Discord going crazy, watching the live stream. I mean, it was such a cool experience, and being a part of that, definitely would encourage anyone who doesn't have a Mint Pass to either make sure you're tuning in or to try to buy one to be able to speculate, and to try to be able to pick one that you might really like and connect with. I mean, there's still a few here that have yet to be revealed, but a lot of really cool, awesome, pieces of art. I think this one was just, this is kind of the newest one that was revealed, I think, over the past day. I think that might be my favorite at this point in time. But I know there's a ton of, there's Airtable documents, Google Docs about people just kind of speculating between, the artists behind a lot of these, whether they kind of went back digging through Twitter tweets or just Discord threads or anything else. Like this one specifically, I believe, Drifter tweeted about a few months ago, so a lot of people are assuming that that's him. With some of this, I think they said it could be, what you're seeing here might not necessarily be the final product, which was a little bit different from Grails 1, where what you saw was what you were getting. I don't think things will change too drastically, but it's definitely possible the piece, evolves a little bit or changes a little bit during the reveal process. But definitely curious, Ray, what your thoughts are on, what your front runners are, or kind of where you're leaning right now in terms of the ones that you're interested in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 10, we were talking, getting ready for the show, and that one dropped, and I mean, that looks, awesome. I really vibe with kind of the style, the color palette, kind of like really speaks to me personally and my taste. You get that strobe flash effect, and it's like, oh, is that X copy? That weird face on there, that, and you're looking at it again, like in the bottom left, is that like a squiggle that's there? It's like a crudely drawn, flashing kind of squiggly like thing, all kinds of these little bits and pieces that you kind of pick up as you're kind of looking, deeper and deeper at the artwork, which is cool. Definitely like 10. Before 10 was dropped today, I really like 23. 23 is pretty cool. Just a really cool vibe. I'm looking to get a few like smart frames, or maybe potentially build out one or two with like Raspberry Pis to kind of display NFTs. And I think a lot of these kind of, animated artworks kind of lend themselves to those kind of displays. It'd be cool to put one up, in my office to kind of have rotating through some of the art I own. And then outside of 23, 15 and 20 also kind of caught my eye. 15 is like very like simple, and it just is almost like soothing, kind of looking at, the way the lines kind of just barely kind of move back and forth. I really enjoy the aesthetic here. But looking at these, I mean, it's hard to kind of guess like who the artists are going to be. I'm sure I'm going to be putting in some more time into that and kind of seeing what the community has kind of solved or think they solved. But I don't know if that's going to like kind of influence my final decision. I think I'm going to play it like Tom was saying along lines of, figuring out what I would want to have in my wallet long term and want to be looking at. Yeah, that one's interesting. Like, is that a photograph that's been like glitched a bit? It's very interesting. Yeah,
no, there was some speculation this was like members of Tame Impala were at some kind of concert, and a real photograph from whatever that show was. I think Nucci talked about this on Twitter Spaces, but this dude on the left with the black eyes and the hair, it just seems like he's like staring straight through my soul. He's pretty scary looking there.
Yeah. So you can, I mean, the first Grails 1 was airdropped to Proof holders. So it was a 1-to-1 for the passes, I believe. So there were 1,000, and then I think they minted some additional for the team. It might have been like 50, and well, sorry, they weren't airdropped. It was a claim. So 1,000 were potentially claimed. I think it might have been like 50 to the team, but not all 1,000 were claimed by Proof holders, and the total supply looks like it has fallen to 1036 for Grails 1. Grails 2, we know exactly how many mint passes are out there. That's been airdropped, and it's kind of finalized at this point. And that went to proof holders and nested Moonbirds with the Grails trait, and I believe some additional for the team. But that total supply is 1174. So you're looking at 1036 versus 1174 in terms of the difference in supply. So 138 more on the new one, which is roughly about a 13% increase of supply off of Grails 1. And I think a lot of this math was kind of like nailed down in the proof Discord. Someone was talking about like a 13% increase in supply. You're looking at the Grails 1 floor at 1.3. So if you take 87% of that, it's a floor of 1.1, but then you need to factor in kind of the average. The floor piece is the floor piece, but then, you also had a chance of getting the protoglyph or the wall or the Dmitry Cherniak intersection, which have, higher floors. So I think the kind of the average expected value is somewhere around like 6 or so. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know when I kind of adjusted for supply and looked at the average floor price for each, it was kind of like right around 4 ETH would be the kind of break even point for Grails 2. And that's where I was, happy to jump in and put an offer in for a pass.
Are you going to hold and, just kind of look at it from an art perspective, or if there is a price run, are you going to maybe let it go at a specific price? I am curious for your perspectives there.
Yeah, there's always a price, that you're going to sell at. I try not to just say, hey, I'm gonna hold something indefinitely. I want to experience Grails 2. It's definitely something. Yes, I do want to experience it, but there's always a price point that I would say, maybe I'll pass. And I think that's probably if you get up around that, 6 ETH kind of, expected value location. But I'm not sure it's going to run there. There's a couple interesting, changes to the mechanics Grails 1 versus Grails 2 that'll be interesting to see play out. This being a mint patch, you're going to be burning the supply. So, there's going to be less and less supply over time as the mint phase is still open. So you're kind of could be driving demand into a supply that may not want to sell. It'll be interesting to see kind of how the price fluctuates once mint opens up.
Yeah, definitely. It's tricky. I had the proof pass. I was airdropped this for free, I guess. If you think of it that way, and it's, I could potentially sell it, list it now, and then kind of walk away with 3 ETH. But I think, it's just really cool experience to be a part of. Cool to have a chance to mint and own. A piece of art that I really do, like the way it looks, or just, want to, like, similar to what Ray said, kind of hang it up in my office, or, also have a chance at minting something from, just an artist whose work I don't currently have at the moment, or someone, to be able to gain exposure to new artists and possibly be turned on to other pieces and other works that they've done in the past. So, I think all of that is definitely just a really cool process to be a part of. But like he said, everyone has a price, everything has a price. I'll definitely be curious to see what happens to the price of these as people are trading them in and kind of selecting their mints and everything else. What does that do as the supply is coming down? Does that demand increase ahead of the reveal? It'll definitely be interesting to see how everything plays out. I'm sure some people will likely mint and jump in right away, and there's probably going to be people that are hanging on to it until the very end, and potentially either trying to sell or making a last minute decision on which one they want to select and mint there. So it's definitely, I like that they're kind of doing it with a mint pass now. I think that's a good way to handle it, and definitely be interesting to see kind of how things play out from here.